SportLife Uncensored show. We in it to win it though. About to start the podcast. Yeah, you better watch that. SportLife Uncensored show. We in it to win it though. About to start the podcast. Yeah, you better watch that. Yeah, don't miss it. Cause when we shoot a shot, we swish it. Like Curry, you know we ain't never miss it. Sports info, yeah, that's the mission. Compared to other people, we different. Knocking out the other competition. Put them all into a submission. We don't tap out, we keep on hitting. 3 different fans, 3 different teams. Best sports podcast you ever seen. Noah, David, and Tyler supplying the finest opinions that's only real. They be providing excitement like when it was Tyson up in it with Holyfield. Just like Barry Bonds in his prime. They knock it out the park every time. Yeah, it's the SportLife Uncensored show. We in it to win it though. About to start the podcast. Yeah, you better watch that. SportLife Uncensored show. We in it to win it though. About to start the podcast. Yeah, you better watch that. Yeah, don't miss it. Cause when we shoot a shot, we swish it. Like Curry, you know we ain't never miss it. Sports info, yeah, that's the mission. Compared to other people, we different. Knocking out the other competition. Put them all into a submission. We don't tap out, we keep on hitting. 3 different fans, 3 different teams. Best sports podcast you ever seen. Noah, David, and Tyler supplying the finest opinions that's only real. They be providing excitement like when it was Tyson up in it with Holyfield. Just like Barry Bonds in his prime. They knock it out the park every time.
We welcome you to another live edition of The Sports Box, your go-to sports podcast featuring great content, conversation, and your occasional disagreement. Stick around to interact and ask questions. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back once again with the 6th episode of the SportLife Uncensored show here on the Sports Box Podcast Network. As always, I am your host, Noah Dog Dibler. Brian Atart says, love the intro. Your graphics team should get a raise. Well, maybe if the graphics team got in about 3 weeks ago. Just kidding, buddy. Appreciate the new intro. Looks really nice.
It's fire.
But as always, joined by my co-host and buddies, David Dunphy and Tyler Rowe. How are you gentlemen doing tonight? Or this evening, whatever.
Fantastic, guys. How's everybody doing?
Doing great. Ready to get this show going, boys. How are y'all?
I'm doing, well, college-wise, I'm doing awesome, man. Big win over Tennessee. Looked great. There was a game like the next day, but I kind of forgot what happened in that one. So, yeah.
I feel the same way. Sundays are just kind of a wash to me.
Man, David, it's weird. You're like the only guy who can be happy about the NFL right now.
Oh, not everybody's team can win, Noah. You know what I mean? Somebody has to lose.
Yeah. I need somebody to send the definition of winning to Jerry Jones. Or I'll win. Either one will be acceptable.
Well, I mean, I think I kick it off. So let's just go ahead and get right into it, guys. We got a lot to discuss tonight. First off, we'll start with the Thursday night football game. Actually, a good Thursday night football matchup for once.
Absolutely.
Eagles and Washington both looking to be in playoff contention this season. Now, this wasn't a game we predicted, but Dave, in our Sport Life pick 'em, I did pick the Eagles just because, I felt they had that experience edge. Washington is, an up-and-coming team, rookie quarterback. The Eagles are getting going hot at the right time. What is this, 6 straight wins now? I think it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, solid home win against, a competitive Commanders team. 20 points scored in the fourth quarter. And, once again, I think it was mainly the story of this Eagles running game with Saquon Barkley going off, Jalen Hurts doing all right in the passing game, but, that balanced offense, getting it done. Start with you on this one, Dave. But what were your takeaways? 26-18 Eagles win at home Thursday Night Football.
Well, my takeaway first off was the Eagles are just proving me wrong. I thought they were just kind of just doing enough to get by, but at this point, they're undeniable. They're a damn good team. And they're competing with the Commanders for the division for sure. They have the upper hand right now. But man, Saquon Barkley, he's showing out, and he's the second best running back right behind Derrick Henry, in my opinion, right now. He's playing out of his mind. He rushed for 146 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. Caught 2 passes as well for 52 yards. He averages 5.6 yards per carry. And in this game, 5.8 yards per carry on the season. I mean, he's balling out. And like you said, between him and Jalen Hurts, I mean, they're hard to beat, man. Really hard to beat. And they showed that this week. Jaden Daniels, he really had a pretty solid game. Nothing over the top, but connected with 9 different receivers. Completed 69% of his passes. Only had a touchdown and interception, but that's a tough defense to play against as well. So he held his own, but he couldn't get enough done to pull out the W. Good win for the Eagles there, and man, they just keep rolling. They're hard to beat for sure. So
certainly, yeah. Early in this game, it looked like the Commanders kind of had their number, and then as the half dwindled on, they just kind of lost the motivation and the edge. As the game went on, it just kind of looked like this turned into the Saquon Barkley show. And I do want to hit on that Eagles offensive line has just completely changed since they've gone on this 6-game win streak. The center that took over for Kelsey, I watched him block the safety for the Commanders twice in one play on that 50-yard run by Barkley.
Wow.
Like, that's crazy. So, I mean, overall, just a great win by the Eagles. They're, like you said, David, proving everybody wrong, coming back on this big win streak. And it looks like Sirianni's starting to get the Eagle fan base a little bit back under his wings after that crazy argument stuff. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what happens inside the division where I can't hope for anything. So,
yeah, I mean, first of all, take nothing away from Washington. I still think really good team, really promising team, especially for the future. I mean, they're still 7-4. They're in a great position right there. But the Eagles, I think, are kind of starting to do what people expected them to do early in the season. They got off to a slow start, but now they're kind of rolling. You guys mentioned the offense. Saquon's been unbelievable. Glad to have him on my fantasy team as well. My main concern would be, when we get to playoff time, what is Jalen Hurts going to do? He does have some good weapons in the passing game, obviously, but can he step up in those big moments? That's what I'd key in with the Eagles offense. But another thing I'd like to mention, guys, that I don't think you guys really touched on enough is the Eagles' defense in this game was unbelievable. 8 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. Washington was 3 for 12 on 3rd down and 1 for 2 on 4th down. And compared that to Eagles, they were 9 for 16 on 3rd downs, which in a close one-possession game like that, I mean, that kind of stuff makes all the difference. 434 yards for the Eagles to only 264 for the Commanders. I mean, just, a solid, mistake-free kind of performance and a close game that they needed it as well. And I think you saw the difference in defenses as well. Philly's given up less than 18 points per game on defense this year, whereas Washington's given up like 20 to 21. And we saw in that fourth quarter when, they needed some stops. It was a close game. They couldn't get it. So, good win for the Eagles. I still think Washington's a great team, great quarterback, good position. But I think the Eagles, just with that experience they have and just pure talent on the roster, just a little bit ahead of them. And I think you saw that in that second half and that fourth quarter in that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the Commanders are certainly not the Commanders of the years before. So holding them under 250 yards of offense is a great feat nowadays. Let's move into the next one. I've got the Browns at the Saints. Go ahead, David. I know you're biting at the chomp to just kind of get this one underway.
Man, I mean, they're just they're looking good since they fired Dennis Allen. Or they're looking good enough at the moment. Of course, they haven't really faced anybody. They beat the Falcons there. That's a game that the Falcons should have won, but the Saints did. And just like the first game, the Saints probably should have won that one, but the Falcons did. Just one of those games. But the Browns, I mean, honestly, Jameis Winston had a pretty solid game. His numbers look pretty good. On the stat line, it's not going to show up. Demario Davis almost picking him off twice, and throwing into bad coverage and things like that. But he made some pretty good throws there. Man, the Taysom Hill show, guys. He is just a damn good football player. He is so much fun to watch. He's not arrogant and cocky. He's humble, but he puts it down on the field, man. He did have the interception and the fumble, but he set a career high with 8 catches, had a career high in rushing yards. So he finished the game with 7 carries for 138 yards, 19.7 yards per carry. Had 50 receiving yards, 18 passing yards, and 42 kick return yards, and ended it with 3 rushing touchdowns. I mean, he was the offense that day, and it was fun to see. And Coach Rizzi, man, he's just, like I said, last week, he's just bringing a passion that we haven't seen in a while. His message heading into the game was control the line of scrimmage and finish, which are things that we've had struggle doing. The Saints held Nick Chubb and company to only 64 rushing yards the whole game, while the Saints finished with 216 rushing yards. He said also finish strong in the fourth quarter. We scored 21-0. They're nothing. So they delivered, they executed, they won the game. It's nothing to brag about. I do like that we're getting the bye week this week to kind of get a little healthier. We don't have too tough of a schedule, but coming out of the bye week, we do have the Rams. That's probably going to be our toughest game for the rest of the year. But yeah, it's still crazy to think that the division really isn't that far out. Like, we're 2 games behind the Falcons. We're 1 game behind the Bucs. So, I mean, it's still up in the air. I still have the Falcons winning it. But the Bucs have a really easy schedule coming up. So it'll be fun to see how these 3 teams finish out. But good win for the Saints. I'll take it. I'll take a win anytime we can get one. So.
Yeah, I'll give it to Rizzi. A good coach definitely makes the difference. Just in the motto alone and leading your team and telling them what to do. Like you said multiple times before they fired DA, he just looked lifeless on the sideline and just looked like he didn't care. Kind of like the Cowboys look like. They're just collecting checks at this point. So the difference in coaching has made a huge change. But I'm gonna wait to get back on them being the Saints from week 2 before we see some actual challenge in there. Because I mean, the Browns, I hate it for you Browns fans because for a couple of years they look like y'all are kind of finding the way, but man, y'all are back in the toilet bowl again. I don't know. Winston, like you said, played pretty good, but again, they're down that much, throwing the ball 46 times. I mean, you're going to throw for about 400 yards. So overall, I chop it up to the Saints. Interested to see how that division pans out and how the Saints keep playing from here on out.
Yeah, man, I think with the Browns, it kind of feels like they got a bit greedy to where, they started becoming relevant with Baker again, and then he had like a down year, and they were like, well, we can do better than this. Get him out of there, go for Deshaun Watson, who hadn't played in a friggin' year. It was a total disaster. And now Baker is, I'd say, a top 10 quarterback just from what we've seen this season, what he's been doing with the Bucs, especially with no receivers. I think he's been really good, and they're a total shit show. On the other side, the Saints, it's hard to say just after 2 weeks, but I have been impressed by Rizzi. I mean, you can't just, first of all, my main takeaway when I was looking him up when they first hired him was this guy has been coaching special teams for a very long time. This isn't some coach that's, green behind the ears or anything. And I think to a guy like John Harbaugh, who was a special teams coach and, he got a head coaching opportunity with the Ravens. And since then, he's been one of the upper level coaches in the NFL consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's way too early to predict anything like that. But I mean, for 2 games we've just seen, limited sample size, I think they've looked incredible. You already mentioned Taysom, David, so I won't touch too much on that. I mean, the stats speak for themselves. But another guy in the offense I want to mention, he's only been on the team for like a month since the Bills cut him. But MVS, man, he killed us, and he had another big, big plays in this one. 2 catches, but 87 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Quickly cement himself as a solid deep threat for that team. Foster Moreau with 3 catches for 50 yards, Juwan Johnson. So, production from the tight end position as well. They're just missing that, with Olave out, they're missing that number 1 receiver. And
absolutely.
If they had Olave, MBS, and which I think MBS is kind of like the Rashid Shaheed replacement, if you will. But if they had both those guys as well, imagine the vertical threat that offense would be, especially with the threat of Taysom Hill. I mean, whenever he's in the game, you don't really know what's going to happen, whether it's a run or a deep pass or anything like that. So, I mean, again, it's hard to judge too much into it because, I mean, I said it when we picked this game last week, guys. It's not so much I believe in the Saints. It's just the Browns are a total disaster. Like you brought up with Jameis, he did have good stats on the stat sheet, but, again, he had a couple passes that could have been picks. Browns were 3 for 13 on 3rd down, 1 for 3 on 4th down. I mean, yardage-wise, it was a pretty even game, but just big mistakes for the Browns once again. I mean, their season is totally over. It's been over ever since, Deshaun Watson has been stinking it up all year, and they got hurt. They just need to try and lose the rest of their games, honestly, because they're just absolutely cooked. Their defense stinks as well, giving up almost 25 points per game.
Yeah.
I mean, New Orleans doesn't have a great defense either, but I mean, play against the Browns, you give up 443 yards, and you only get 14 points. Like, I don't know what they're doing. Total disaster.
Absolutely. And to touch on something that you said a minute ago, not having Olave, he's on the minimum 4-game IR there because of that concussion. And I'm wondering, I mean, if he comes off that 4-game stretch and we're 3-1, I wonder if that would give a little more initiative to come back this season, or if he should just go ahead and continue to stay out for the rest of the year. I don't know. I mean, wins mean a lot to people, so that may kind of light a fire into there.
That's going to certainly play on a lot of how the Falcons and Bucs play too. Playoff implications are going to play a lot into how he makes that decision, and I think getting rid of DA is really going to play into him staying in New Orleans, though.
Yeah,
because him and his brother for sure seemed heated about all the concussions in New Orleans. One thing I do want to say about the Browns before we move on from that toilet bowl, man, please go trade my boy and my classmate Myles Garrett somewhere else, and don't waste his career like some of these other Megatrons, and man, let him go play somewhere else.
Speaking of him, real quick, he was held to only 1 pressure, 0 sacks. This was his lowest pressure rating all year, and he was left on an island with Fuaga a lot of the game. I was very, very impressed by Fuaga. To hold his own like that against a beast like that, that's saying something.
Yeah.
So, All right, guys, on to the next game here. One of my favorite games of the week. We got the Falcons and Broncos. Broncos outscored them 38-6. Sean Payton looks like he still owns the NFC South. Noah, why don't you go ahead and start out with this, please?
Man, this game was a total shit show, guys. I'm not even gonna try and pretend. I mean, it's not the fact we lost. Like, even when I picked this game, I was like, this is a game that I definitely think we could drop. But I still kind of picked them, just benefit of the doubt. I mean, they just went in there and they got absolutely boat raced. Like, it wasn't even a contest, pretty much. Broncos took them behind the woodshed with the belt and just started whooping their ass, pretty much. I mean, first of all, main thing I got to say is credit to Bo Nix. I mean, I know we talked about on the last show, he's been good the past month or so. He ain't never been this good. I mean, 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards, 145 QB rating. I think we're starting to see, David, and you kind of alluded to this. I don't think it was all Drew Brees. Sean Payton is a pretty damn good offensive coach, and it took Bo Nix maybe a month and a half to kind of get going. But since he's kind of gotten his confidence, some trust in his weapons and what have you, he's been playing very well. He's actually, if you look at the stats, he's not a million miles off what Jaden Daniels is doing this season.
No, he's not. He's closing in pretty quick too.
But yeah, I mean, we could not run the football at all, which you guys know that's our bread and butter. I mean, 2.4 yards per carry for the game. Algier was inactive, so it was Robinson and Jason McClellan. I mean, it didn't matter who was running. We couldn't run the ball at all. Kirk couldn't do anything through the air. Darnell Mooney, only 2 catches, 27 yards. He's been, our biggest surprise in offense.
Yeah.
Javonte Williams, limited carries, was torching us. But, I mean, again, we just couldn't cover anything, guys. And, I'm starting to get really it went a few weeks. I was like, I'm not too sure about this defense. I kind of have question marks. And then I see a game like this, I'm like, God damn, I
don't think it's a question mark anymore.
It's not a question. It's an exclamation point at this point. Like, what the hell was going on in this game? 400 yards. We couldn't get off the field on third down. 6 for 11 for the Broncos there. Only 5 incompletions the whole game. And once again, I think the main issue with the defense, and I'm kind of getting pissed off mentioning it because, David, I've been mentioning this about 7 years at this point. We have no pass rush whatsoever. Didn't trade for anyone at the deadline. We were just content. We have we're like 32nd in sacks and 31st in pressure rate or something in the whole NFL. I mean, it's just an absolute joke how little we can. And you guys know if you can't pressure the quarterback, it doesn't matter if you have Justin Simmons and Jesse Bates, AJ Terrell in the secondary. Someone's going to get open, and they're going to get open deep, and that's what keeps happening to this defense over and over again because they can't sack the quarterback. I mean, credit to the Broncos. They played great. We played like absolute dog water. They have a playoff shot as well, guys. 6-5. I mean, tough division. They're still third in the division, but with that defense, after this week, it might be. I don't know if it's number one. I mean, I know the Chargers aren't number one anymore, but they're definitely top 2. So great defense helps as well, and their offense is hot right now. But man, a good thing we have all the divisional tiebreakers, because this was just a total. I mean, my God, like there's nothing positive you can say. It's just like, well, Michael Penix got in, and he went 3 for 5. That's nice to see, but that's about it. Like,
there's one more positive from the Falcons.
What's that?
Y'all's kicker went 2 for 2 this week.
Oh yeah, he didn't shank 3 field goals again. Yeah, that's true.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, all around. I mean, I think I speak for all of us. I did not expect a 38-6 blowout win, even in Mile High Stadium. Denver looks good, and like you said, they're in a tough division, but at the least, those fans have the future to look forward to because they are building a strong foundation with young players. I mean, if you want to call it 8-year college quarterback career young, but either way, they're having crazy amounts of luck in the draft on the defense, and I mean, the personnel and the GM needs support for that. And then, like David said, you just put Sean Payton anywhere, and you're guaranteed any wins against the South. He's just going to start moving to whatever team plays the NFC South that year. But, I mean, great game for Bo Nix. He came out. Like I said, he had a lot of experience in college. He groomed well in college, and now we're seeing him finally start to, I think, catch his stride with Sean Payton. I'm excited to see how they end this year.
Absolutely. I agree. Man, 4 touchdowns, 307 passing yards, 85% completion. Like I told you, I really did have to look for a second. I seen Sean Payton on the sideline, and I didn't know if Drew Brees was in or not. I mean, he looked that. I mean, that's kind of what the numbers look like. Broncos defense, man, they're nasty, and like you said, they're right there with the Chargers. You said the Chargers aren't number 1 defense anymore.
I assume not because they gave up what was it, 27?
Yeah,
the Bengals. So they're probably not.
Got you. Yeah, they're up there with them though. The Broncos defense is for sure. I think they're both probably top 3, but yeah, man, really, really good game for the Broncos there. Cousins kind of got shut down. Just had 173 passing yards, interception, no touchdowns. Bijan held to 2.7 yards per carry. Pitts just 1 catch for 9 yards. rough game for the Falcons. Love to see it.
Never mind. I take it back. I just checked. The Chargers, even with that game, are still only giving up 14.5 points per game. That's just
that's man. They're nasty. It's insane. But yeah. There's Jacob right here, my boy Bo Nix. Yep. He's looking good, man. He's looking good. And like you said, Noah, he's kind of making a case for himself for offensive rookie of the year for sure. So
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. It really is. I never expected it, to be honest, especially after the first few games. But they're still a little wish-washy. They'll win one, lose one. But, he himself is looking a lot better for sure. But, yeah, that back-to-back losses for the Falcons, that kind of helps the division there. And I believe y'all are on a bye week this week as well, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, we share a bye week. But, yeah.
They're on a bye week this week, too.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, man. Good win for the Broncos overall. They might make the playoffs as a wild card. I don't know if they'll do anything other than that, but good win and yeah, fun game for me to watch for sure. So
poor Noah. All right, later, boys. Love y'all. Have a great show. Appreciate it, Guard. Thanks for the commiserations on this. But
get that workout in, buddy.
Yep. Yes, sir. All right, let's get into what, in my opinion, was a top 3 game of the week for sure, and that is the Chiefs and the Bills. Tight game once again, always is in the regular season between these teams. I mean, they were showing some stat I was reading before the Bills scored the final touchdown. It was like the last 4 matchups between all these teams, both regular season and playoffs, decided by less than 1 possession, some by like 3 or 4 points as well. But the Bills end up getting this win, 26-yard rushing touchdown by Josh Allen to seal it late, and the Ralph goes absolutely wild. I mean, it was just ridiculous watching it live. Tyler, I want to start with you on this one. Chiefs, first of all, no more undefeated teams. 72 Dolphins are safe yet another year. But, big win for the Bills, for that number 1 seed. They're 9-2, half game behind the Chiefs. What were your main takeaways from this one, the Bills getting this win?
Well, I mean, my first takeaway is I don't know who the Bills are. I'm just going to start calling them the Josh Allens because this dude led them in passing, obviously, and then led them in rushing as well. Like, what else is he supposed to do? Throw the ball to himself? Like, this is crazy. This man is having an MVP caliber type of year. And in a year where a lot of quarterbacks have kind of fallen, he might just easily get an MVP where, I mean, I think some of these running backs should be looked at. But Josh Allen is just controlling games like a quarterback should, and which is crazy to see from him when I'm used to seeing him make these boneheaded throws into double or triple coverage and cost his team games. He's actually putting the team on his back and looks like a smart quarterback. For the Chiefs, it's been the same all year. They just can't get that offense going. The defense tries to help them, tries to keep them in it, which I'll give credit to that defense. Josh Allen is hard to cover in his passing, and then you also have to watch him run. Yeah, that's a tough order for anybody. But if the Chiefs don't get this offense going, the three-peat's not happening because this Bills team looks scary. Detroit looks scary. There's too many teams that have the offense and the defense clicking together for this Chiefs team to Taylor Swift its way into a three-peat. So I'm excited to see what the Bills have coming because, man, yeah, the Ralph was fucking rocking. So I'm excited to see maybe they can come back and wipe away that four Super Bowls in a row taste out their mouth.
Yeah, man. The Bills always do this, man. Every regular season, they kind of they'll beat the Chiefs and it just doesn't carry over into the playoffs. Josh Allen, though, man, him and Joe Brady are just meshing very, very well together. I feel like Josh Allen's probably playing his best football right now. Yeah, that run to seal the game was savage. Nasty. It was so savage. He's just fun to watch, man. He does it all. He can make all the throws. He's athletic. He's huge. He's just fun to see. I actually thought Mahomes played pretty well, aside from the 2 interceptions that he had. I mean, that was probably one of his better games, other than those 2 throws. Xavier Worthy was his top wide receiver of the game. They're building a pretty nice connection. That speed kills, So it's kind of exciting to see what kind of connection they build and continue to build there. But yeah, I believe we all called this game for the Bills to pull off the win there in that unbeaten streak there. And yeah, it was a fun game to see for sure. One of the best games for me overall throughout the week. So
before I let you hop in there, Noah, I actually picked the Chiefs, David.
oh, you did.
I
That's
picked
right.
them to go in there and kind of somehow magically fucking pull it out. Oh, I got set back this week. I'm set back far.
Yeah, you had
real quick before Noah, you get to yours. Did y'all see the Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes 50-yard line meet after the game and what was said?
I did not. What happened?
Mahomes, they were laughing and joking. You know, they play each other a lot, and he just laughed at him and said, "Okay, do it again, but in the playoffs."
That's hilarious. That's exactly it, though. He'll do it in the regular season.
Is going to be, and I think that matchup will happen, and I think it'll be at the Ralph again, and maybe about the same outcome.
Absolutely, very well. And I mean, man, this matchup right here, it reminds me of like the Brady Manning matchup. You know what I mean? The modern era of that. It's fun to see, but you know, you really can't make that comparison if Josh Allen doesn't get any gold on his fingers. So we'll see about that. But yeah, it was a fun game for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's tough for the Bills, right? Because it's not like they're a million miles away. They always play the Chiefs really close. It's just when it gets that fourth quarter there, they can't hold on. The Chiefs have that clutch gene. They've been there before, whereas, you know, the Bills are – I feel like the Bills are like one of those teams, if they could just get over the hump once, the amount of confidence that gives you, the fact that you know you can do it, whereas, you know, again, you know, the question everyone's asking, can they do it in the playoffs? I know a lot of, you know, athletes say, oh, we don't pay attention to that stuff, but it's got to weigh on your mind when it's the same team over and over getting in your way. You know, like you mentioned with Peyton Manning, David. Patriots always, you know, win 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, and you're the MVP. You have 50 touchdowns in 2004. You still can't win a Super Bowl because the friggin' Patriots are winning every single thing. That's kind of like what it feels like for me with the Bills right now. I mean, Josh Allen, I think, is amazing. That touchdown run was incredible. And again, I think it was a case of the Chiefs once again. Too many mistakes in this game. 2 turnovers. You know, 2 interceptions from Patrick Mahomes. 6 penalties. You know, they failed on a 4th down. You know, it's fine to make mistakes like this when you're playing teams like the Raiders or, you know, even the Broncos, but when you're the Saints, but when you're on the road at the Ralph against the Bills, you can't make mistakes like this, especially a game that was at 23-1, or excuse me, 23-21 before the last touchdown. I mean, you still got the feeling if the Bills didn't score a touchdown there, that the Chiefs could just drive down and win the game. They needed that touchdown, and they were able to get it. You know, I still think these are 2 of the top 3 teams in the AFC, the other one being the Ravens. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, the Bills, could they get the number 1 seed? Maybe. But again, it's one of those things. It's kind of like a, what's it called? Bittersweet feeling. It's like, yeah, congratulations, you got it again. Let's see you do it in January.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my response to Michael Bradley saying, did y'all mention Allen's stats and how many points his defense gave up in the playoff losses? I mean, the same thing applies. That defense still has to play better in the playoffs. So let's see what happens in January.
Absolutely.
So on to this next game. And let me be, before we even get into it, the first one to go ahead and apologize to the Chargers fans for picking the Bengals. And for some reason, thinking
you had a rough week, man.
Rough, man. And I mean, dude, I'll let Noah go ahead and get into this one. But dude, this is just Joe Burrow versus the world.
Yeah.
But, let's see what you got on it, Noah.
Well, I will say, not all of us picked the Bengals in this game. One of us did pick the Chargers in this one. But I'll admit, the way the Chargers won this game was not really the way I was expecting. I expected them to go off. I mean, I said half joking last week, I expected them to get 500 yards of offense against this terrible Bengals defense. They got 435, you know, averaging 7 yards per play. It's pretty much what you'd expect. Justin Herbert, weird stat line, 17 of 36, but he had 297 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also added 65 on the ground. So, I mean, overall, a pretty good game for him. My guy, Ladd McConkey, some big catches on that final drive as well, especially the one that put him in the red zone. That was a really nice one. He had 123 yards. Will Disley and Quentin Johnston with touchdowns again. But, I mean, Tyler, I think you hit on it once again. I mean, Joe Burrow, this poor guy, he's having an MVP caliber season. Like, if this team was 6-5 instead of 4-7, he would probably be the MVP frontrunner because he's just been absolutely unbelievable. He had 356 yards and 3 touchdowns in this one. Again, no turnovers. But, man, I mean, their defense is terrible. They ran the ball okay in this game. I mean, 4.4 yards per carry. But Joe Burrow, I mean, running for his life, sacked three times again in this one. You got the weapons, but, I mean, Higgins and Chase, we all know what they can do. 3 touchdowns, over 200 yards between those two guys. But you got to get a stop, man. Like, again, I say it feels like I'm watching, like, Drew Brees or, 2014 Drew Brees or 2018 Matt Ryan, where you have these games, your quarterback throws 3, 4, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, and you still somehow lose the game because your defense is just so unbelievably god-awful. Honestly, I'm starting to think it's got to be Zach Taylor or something, right? Like, you got to fix this. Like, this is unbelievable. Through 11 games, guys, they have given up 296 points. Compare that to a team like the Chargers that has less than half of that. That's the difference between the best defense in the NFL and one of the absolute worst, giving up almost 30 points per game. It's unbelievable. Credit to the Chargers. I mean, solid home win, 7-3. They're a really good team in great position for, that top wild card spot. I don't think they're going to catch the Chiefs, but they'll definitely be one of the top wild cards in my opinion. Bengals, I hate to say it. I love Joe Burrow. He's been amazing. I think they're done. It's not even the fact that they're 4-7. It's just the fact I have no faith in their defense to when they get in these close games again to be able to get them a win. I mean, they can score 34 points, and we've already seen the Bengals can score 34 points and give up 35 to the Ravens, and just like that, you lose. They've had a lot of those, 50-50 games. 2 of them against the Ravens, they get on the wrong end of it because they can't get – they just need, like, one fourth quarter stop. Like, can you just give Joe Burrow one fourth quarter stop? And they can't do it. So, yeah, a good win for the Chargers. Bengals, man, I'm sorry, Joe Burrow. You tried your best. It just wasn't enough.
I mean, Noah, before I let David hit on this, you perfectly named off what the Bengals' problem is, and it's always been their problem. It's the coaching. But the problem and the sad part for the fans is they're a family organization. Think of how many coaches they've had this decade. They're not going to let him go. I mean, they're just going to keep riding.
They're loyal.
They're very loyal, even when the proof is in the pudding. I mean, we'll just see. But go ahead, Dave. Didn't mean to cut you off.
I mean, Noah, honestly, you pretty much covered everything. 6 of the 7 losses for the Bengals are 1-score possession games. Man, that's just tough. Burrow keeps them in, but they're not doing enough to win. And I kind of do feel like it falls on coaching, like both of you said. It's bad whenever you have the I believe it's the leading in passing yards, sacks, and receiving yards, and you're one of the worst records in the league. It's rough to watch, man. I've seen Trey Hendrickson over there, who's leading the league in sacks, just sitting there crying. He's a former Saint, and man, that's got to be a shitty feeling whenever you have several parts of your game that's going lights out, but you just can't close these games out. But that's the thing. Good teams do close these games out, and just because you're hitting on certain spots on the offense, you got to have a good defense to be able to pull it through. Man, Chargers, like I mentioned earlier, their defense is just nasty. Justin Herbert, I feel like probably had one of his better games of the season. And these 2 guys right here, they kind of remind me pretty similar to like the ones we compared earlier, like the Brady's and the Breezes games, the Breeze and Matt Ryan games, things like that. Both these quarterbacks are really, really good, and they're just fun to see. I didn't check this stat before saying it, but I'm pretty sure that Justin Herbert owns Joe Burrow as far as their games go. I'm not sure their head-to-head matchups, but I'm pretty sure Herbert has the lead there. But yeah, just a good game for the Chargers. That defense is nasty. Harbaugh's they're good coaches, man. Really good coaches. Chargers are a real good threat. in the AFC, and they don't look like they'll be slowing down anytime soon. So, Bengals, like I said, or like you said, no, I agree. I think they're done. You can't lose this many close games and then do anything after that. It's going to be very very tough to do. So, I think they've dug their hole too deep to pull out of it, and Chargers just keep rocking. So.
Real quick before you go, Ty, I just wanted to mention this comment here from Mikey saying, our good buddy Dominic Goodwin, who's a Bengals fan, has mentioned the staff as a whole needs to go. They've been figured out. Not a fan of Zach Taylor and hates their DC, which, again, I agree with. But, like Tyler said, I mean, they had Marvin Lewis for, 14 years? Like, they're content with mediocrity.
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. I completely agree.
Y'all pretty much hit the nail on the head with this game with all the stats and everything. The only thing I do want to throw on top of this one before we move on to the next segment is, Noah, you mentioned that if this team has a couple more wins, Joe Burrow's in the talks for MVP. Have any of y'all looked at Jamar Chase's stats? This dude is like going to hold the Triple Crown.
He's a Triple Crown guy, which I know because he's on my fantasy team.
Mm-hmm,
which is dude, that's crazy. And for anybody listening that doesn't know, that means receptions, yards, and touchdowns is leading in everything, and on a losing team with a quarterback who's having an MVP caliber season. Yeah, absolutely. The coach has got to go, man. The coach has got to go.
Yeah, David, you mentioned him leading in passing yards. He also leads in passing touchdowns.
That may have been the actual stat that I meant. I'm not sure if he leads in passing yards, but it is passing touchdowns. You're correct.
And only 4 interceptions as well.
Just man, that's tough to see, especially one of my favorite quarterbacks. So,
oh yeah.
All right, guys, we're gonna move on to our next segment here. Start one, bench one, trade one. NFL wide receiver additions. I'm going to go ahead and start us off here. Y'all mentioned the Triple Crown, so I'm going to go ahead and throw in Steve Smith Sr. here, Dez Bryant, and Andre Johnson.
Wasn't expecting this one. Okay. Can you name them one more time, please?
Steve Smith Sr., Dez Bryant, and Andre Johnson.
That's a good one. I think I know mine. Tyler, do you want to go first, or do you want me?
Go ahead.
All right.
I'm kind of fighting between two of them.
So, yeah, I am too. I'm starting Steve Smith Sr. That dude was just an absolute warrior, winner's mentality, even though he wasn't on a lot of winning teams. Not the biggest guy, but played big, had a lot of heart. Definitely think he's the best of those three. I think Andre Johnson was a better receiver than Dez Bryant. And even though I think Dez Bryant was really good, I think Andre Johnson was an absolute warrior on a lot of bad teams. I mean, that connection he had with Matt Schaub was just insane. But then again, it comes down to the trade value argument. Like, I think you could get more trade value for a guy like Andre Johnson. But I also respect Andre Johnson's leadership, whereas I think we saw a bit with Dez at times when things aren't going his way. He can get a little bit pouty. He can get a bit dramatic. So for me, I'm starting Steve Smith. I'm benching Andre Johnson. I'm trading Dez Bryant.
Awesome. How about you, Tyler?
Okay. So because we have the trade clause here, I'm going to start Dez.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm going to sit Steve Smith for the specific reason that I want him returning my punts. And then I'll trade Andre Johnson for the trade value. Obviously, if this is start one, bench one, and then cut one, it's a different conversation. But
Fair enough. So, man, this was tough for me. I like all three guys. I'm going to start Steve Smith. The dude was a beast. To be 5'9" and to be able to put up numbers like this, like a big guy, man, he was fun to see, except whenever they played us twice a year when he was with the Panthers. So I'm going to start him. For opposite reasons, I feel like Andre Johnson is just a better receiver than Dez Bryant. I feel like they're similar, but I give him the edge. I'm actually going to keep Andre Johnson, even though I feel like his trade value would be higher, and I'll just trade Dez for whatever I can get.
There you go. Me and you agree on that one. Couple comments saying start Andre Johnson. That dude was a monster.
He was.
I do think it's close between him and Steve Smith.
And we got Michael Bradley here. Cowboy shocker.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to get that judgment. Like I said, if that's flipped and it's cut one, I cut Dez.
Yeah.
I keep Andre and I sit Steve for the same reason. So just depends on the implications.
Oh yeah, Musa Muhammad was a really underrated receiver as well.
Yep.
All right, Tyler.
All right, so we'll get into mine. I went a little bit more of bigger names. Those are obviously big names, but I mean like big names. All right, so let's go. Michael Irvin, Jerry Rice, Randy Moss.
Could you repeat those? You kind of cut out on my end.
Michael Irvin, Jerry Rice, Randy Moss.
Oh, this is going to be controversial.
Uh-huh.
I'll start it out here.
Go for it.
I'm starting Jerry Rice. He's my GOAT. I'm starting him for sure. I guess I'll go the opposite of what I just did. I'll trade Randy Moss for just for value purposes. I think he's the best deep threat ever, and he's so fun to see. There's literally a catch named after him, but I'm gonna trade him for value purposes, and yeah, I'll go ahead and keep the other one on my bench there. I just went blank, but
Michael Irvin.
Yeah, Michael Irvin. Mm-hmm. How about you, Noah?
Oh my God. Okay, so I'll start with the part that's easy, and it's not really easy, but it's just on this side of the debate, I've always gone with Jerry Rice over Randy Moss. Yeah. So because of the longevity, he's got that clutch gene. I mean, the guy was 42 years old, still having 1,000-yard seasons. The guy was just absolutely nuts. So in my opinion, yeah, he's the GOAT at wide receiver. So I'm starting him. Oh man, it's just again, it's the trade value thing, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. In my opinion, I think the difference in talent, and Mike Irvin was a great receiver, but the difference in talent between him and Randy Moss, I think is too big for me to want to trade him. So for me, I'm benching Randy Moss. If Jerry Moss or if Jerry Rice ever gets turf toe or whatever, I know I can just put another top 3 wide receiver in there, and I'm perfectly fine. So I'll trade the playmaker, but it's tough, man.
I mean, for anybody in their right mind, they're just going to go, I'm putting all 3 of these fuckers on the field. Stop me.
Right.
Throwing it deep every time.
Yeah.
I went, if I had to pick this, I'm going starting Jerry for sure. I would trade Michael and keep Randy because I don't know if y'all know Randy's story just from his troubled background all the way up. That's a dude I want in my locker room. He's got crazy leadership. So,
absolutely.
All right, well, luckily, none of you guys stole my main 3. One of you did use one of the guys I had, but that's fine. Start, bench, trade. Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, and Megatron.
This is tough.
All right, I'll take it. I'm starting Megatron. He's probably my second favorite wide receiver. So I'm starting Megatron. This is where it gets tough.
These are all top 5 guys, man.
Yeah. I guess since I'm keeping Megatron and T.O. is more of an X like that, I'll go ahead and trade T.O. and I'll keep Moss.
Interesting.
Okay, so my first one is Owens can go. I don't like Owens. His attitude, the way I just don't like the guy. He can go. I don't want him in the locker room at all. My battle is with the starter. They're both great. You know what? I'm starting Megatron just because he got fucked in Detroit. We're winning Super Bowls, and Moss can come off the bench.
Oh, man. I like where you guys are thinking. For me, first of all, I'm trading Randy Moss because I can get about 3 first-round picks for that guy. Also, he's a streak merchant, so there's that. I am benching Terrell Owens. You mentioned it. He is a diva. That said, I think you could also say that about Randy Moss a bit too. Not to the extent that T.O. was, but he definitely had his issues as well. But I think T.O. was more complete. I think he's a better blocker, better route tree. One of the best route runners you'll ever see. I'm starting Calvin Johnson. He's better than Randy Moss. I know I'm biased. I don't give a shit. That's the guy I watched growing up. I mean, you could see plays. This guy is triple covered. I remember, funny enough, play that comes to mind, Tyler, against your Cowboys 2011. Guy
I
is
know exactly
triple
what play you're
covered,
talking about.
leaping catch, doesn't matter. There's also the game in 2013 where he had 329 yards and basically won the game all by himself.
One of
This
those
dude is,
games was on Thanksgiving.
yep,
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the Thanksgiving game. But I mean, this dude was just absolutely, and you got to consider as well, he's doing it on like the worst. When he played there, it was like the worst franchise in NFL history, and he's still.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
that was
even
the Browns.
like with Randy Moss and Terrell Owens, there was always like a debate. I think between those two, they were pretty close. There was no debate when Calvin Johnson was in his prime. He was number one. It was just
For
all right.
sure.
Who's number two? And even when he
Right.
retired, he was still like. Even when he retired, I mean, AB and Julio were the top two. He was still like number 3 or number 4. Like he was.
Oh,
I
right.
mean, he just got tired of fucking losing. He retired early as hell. He
was
had
a-
years left on.
He was a winner on a losing team, man. That's the best
Yep.
way I could describe it.
For
Absolutely. Let's go over a couple of comments here before we go on. We've got, let's see, wrong one here.
We talked about that one. There we go.
All right. Start Rice, bench Moss, trade Irvin. And then we got for the last one here, start Megatron, bench T.O., and cut Moss.
There you go.
Okay.
Awesome. What's up, Francisco Rodriguez?
What's up, man? My OG.
What's up, buddy?
All right, guys, we're gonna
That's
get
my
to this.
favorite Mexican right there.
Yeah, me too. All right, Mount Rushmore College Football Quarterbacks Edition. This was tough. For me, the first 2 or 3 were easy, but like the final spot or 2, really difficult. There's been a lot of great college quarterbacks. David, let's start with you on this one because I'm really interested to see who you have here.
All right. No particular order. I'm going to start with my main man, Joe Burrow. He's my favorite college quarterback of all time for sure. But let me just, read a little bit off here. Joe Burrow's magical 2019 season is, obviously the freshest in everybody's mind. It was a historic level season. Not only did he bring the Tigers to a 15-0 national championship, Burrow lit it up on the field, man. Now, obviously, there was a lot of talent around him, but he finished the year with 5,671 yards, 60 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions. He completed 76% of his passes. It was evident earlier that Burrow, did something special, but his 60 touchdown passes, 202 quarterback rating, are NCAA records, and he also led the NCAA in completion percentage and passing yards. I'll go ahead and read off all mine. So I got Joe Burrow, Tim Tebow. This is probably on most people's list here. When he left Florida as a 2-time national champ after the 2009 season, Tebow held the SEC record in total career touchdowns with 145 and single season scores with 55. After him, I have Vince Young. He lost out the Heisman race there to Reggie Bush in 2006, and I feel like he took it personal, man. He's responsible for over 9,000 yards of total offense, 81 touchdowns, cementing his status there for one of the greatest of all time for sure. Now my fourth one, it's not a big time name as far as I guess for college football he is. It's Case Keenum, man. He was a baller at Houston. Rewrote more than a dozen program passing records, but putting him inside the top 5 of an all-time college list for sure. Let's see here. That being said, his numbers speak for itself. As NCAA's career leader in passing yards with 19,217 yards, 155 touchdowns, and 1,546 completions. So these are my 4: Joe Burrow, Tim Tebow, Vince Young, and Case Keenum.
I'll go ahead and go next because I won't have to say anything other than one. We had the exact same list other than one guy.
Okay.
And it wasn't Case Keenum. That was my 4th guy as well.
Okay.
I actually lived in Houston when he was tearing it up for the Cougars. So
Okay.
my number one, or it's like I said, no specific order really, is Johnny Manziel. That dude put A&M back on the map.
Absolutely.
Like, we were a nobody. He came in, won the Heisman just out of nowhere. I really wish he wasn't such a party animal and a douchebag in college and took him so long to figure out that he had some skill. But oh well, it is what it is. Like I said, it put my college back on the map and gave us something to root for. So
yeah,
he's got to be on my list.
Awesome.
Other than that, I've got Vince Young, Tim Tebow, and Case Keenum, just like David.
Awesome.
Man, I was not expecting some of those names. Well, we got the two Homer guys out of the way, so now we can get the more objective opinion in here. So, man, I cannot believe neither of you guys mentioned this one. So, okay, I'll start with the ones I have the same. So, first of all, I have Tim Tebow. I hate Florida. I can't stand them. I wish they'd go 0-12 every season. He's the greatest college football quarterback of all time. I mean, what this guy did, two-time national championship, won the Heisman Trophy as a sophomore, the dual threat player he was, leadership, clutch gene. I mean, again, we're not talking NFL, we're talking college, and this guy in college was just efficient. 23 rushing touchdowns in one season. You hear that? I mean, jaunty as a running back, it would get that, and he's a Heisman candidate. As a quarterback, you add that to 32 touchdowns the same year, 57 rushing touchdowns for a career, 88 touchdown passes, only 16 interceptions. That's just insane. Another guy I had, Vince Young. You guys mentioned him. Great player. Clutch gene as well. One of the best national championship game performances you'll ever see against USC. Just one of the greatest college football games of all time as well. But again, dual threat. Again, I hated him in the NFL. I thought he was terrible in the NFL, total bust. But in college, he was absolutely amazing. My third guy, and probably actually the guy I'd place number 2 behind Tim Tebow. I cannot believe neither of you guys mentioned this guy. Tommy Frazier for Nebraska was just an absolute animal. I mean, 2-time national champion. Guy was just an absolute warrior. Some of his records, 79 touchdowns, 45-4 record, almost 5,500 yards of offense. I mean, this guy was just amazing. Clutch as well. Once again, like I said, 2-time national champion, Johnny Unitas Award winner, quarterback of the year. I mean, his 1995 season, guys, was one of the most insane seasons you will ever see. But I get, he's one of the older names, so some people might not put him on there. But
he was definitely in my runners up for sure, 100%.
And then my number 4, this is where it gets tough. Again, I think I did consider Case Keenum. I even considered guys like Kellen Moore, Charlie Ward, but I went with Peyton Manning. Kind of a safe pick, I think, but he was just a stud, man. He was, I know there was the debate with Ryan Leaf, but I mean, this guy in college was just an absolute animal. Doing it for a team like Tennessee as well. One of the best combinations, I think, where a guy that was absolutely dominant in college was also dominant in the NFL. 89 passing touchdowns, 36 in his final season at Tennessee. He always had Tennessee as contenders. It's just they could never beat Florida. And as soon as he graduated, they won the championship the next season. But, that one was tough, man. There were like 5 guys I think you could have put in that one, but ended up going.
Peyton Manning was my first one. Peyton was the first one off my list. It was close between him and Keenum. I just had to go with the homer.
I mean, he's got that passing yards record and everything, so it definitely makes sense there.
And Frazier completely slipped my mind. Didn't even think about him. Like,
Well,
man,
there
as
you
soon
go.
as you said his name, though, I was like, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into the next segment. Segment 4, we have random sports trivia, bringing it back. And I'm actually going to leave this one off because it plays into the last question, or last segment.
Okay.
Who was the first player to win the Heisman Trophy, and what year did that happen?
Oh, no. God, you're talking like 120 years ago.
Not quite that long, but yeah, pretty close.
Shit. Old history. That's my worst area.
Anybody got any guesses, or you want me to tell you?
I'm trying to think. George Blanda.
No, it's a good guess though. It's a little bit. That's even a little bit before his time.
Oh, great! That's like the oldest player I could think of.
Yeah, I'm lost.
What college did he play for?
The University of Chicago, and he was a running back.
Running back. Oh
he
my God.
did not go to the NFL.
Oh, if he didn't go in the NFL, I have absolutely no chance of knowing who it is.
Okay, it was in 1935, and his name was Jay Berwanger.
The one-man game.
Great player. Got drafted in the first round by the Philadelphia Eagles, turned it down to go work for the Chicago Rubber Company. because that at that time made more money than playing in the NFL or
Oh,
whatever it was
wow.
called at that time.
Damn. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I believe that's him. I believe his nickname was the one man.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
it. Mhm.
Awesome.
All right,
Noah?
David, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take it.
Okay.
All right, guys. So this athlete participated in 3 different sports, won a championship in 2 of them, but didn't participate in the other one very long.
Deion Sanders.
No.
He didn't win a championship as a baseball player.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was just kind of guessing.
Hey, that's not a bad guess. Not a bad guess at all.
It's not okay. It's not Charlie Ward. I don't think he ever won a NBA title.
No, sir.
Jim Thorpe.
Mm-mm.
Oh, he's another. It's not Bo Jackson. He didn't play 3 sports, I don't think.
Bo Jackson played 3 sports.
Did he?
I don't think he won 2 championships though.
Football, baseball.
You guys done guessing?
He was a track star too. I mean, I guess if we're not calling that a sport.
Is it a really old player or a modern? More modern. What are the 3 sports?
That's gonna
This
give
has
it
to be
away,
Olympic.
Noah.
It has to be Olympic type of things. Like
No, not at all.
I feel like I have to know it, but I'm struggling.
I
It's
consider one of these a sport. Some people don't. I'll go ahead and let you guys know. The answer is Brock Lesnar. He was a UFC champion, WWE champion, but he played for the Minnesota Vikings. Very short run there.
God,
Brock Lesnar.
That's cheating.
No, sir.
Dude, he was coming to mind. The Rock, Terry Crews. Like I was like, what sports did they play?
Yeah.
All right, well, guys, I just went with my same old. I got the top 10, except this time it is receiving yards. So let me go ahead and get that up real quick here. I got the I got the stats up. So you guys can
Jamar Chase.
Number one. That one was easy. Yep.
AJ Brown.
Nico Collins.
AJ Brown is not. Nico Collins is not. They're number 17. Number 18
look at,
and 17.
David, look at the games played. They've spent some time on IR.
Oh,
These are people who played every game. CD's not on there.
Yes, he is.
Really? He squeaked in there?
He didn't squeak in there. He's number 3 with 774.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of that bullshit of a season is kind of slipped.
Garbage time passing yards, man.
Yeah, 100%. Who else is Justin Jefferson?
Number 2, 912. Yep. So you guys got the top 3. You still have 4 through 10.
Let's see.
McConkey make it on there?
Nope. He's number 19.
Okay.
Drake London.
He is on the list. Where is he?
Oh, let me see here.
Drake London is gonna be.
Is he 8th?
Third. Yeah, third from the bottom. So 7, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, you guys are so close. He's actually number 9. He's the one with 710.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's see here.
So you still got 4 through 8.
Zay Flowers.
And is on the list, yes. Which one?
He's going to be
6th.
7th.
You guys are close.
Touchdown guy.
You guys are close. He's 5th. He's the one with 727 and 4 touchdowns.
So we have 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th.
And 9th.
Yep.
So the highest one you guys haven't gotten is 4th, the one with 728.
Malik Neighbors.
No.
Scary Terry.
Yeah,
is on the list, but he's not number 4.
Yeah, he doesn't have 2 touchdowns. He's got to be the dude with 721.
Correct. 721, 6 touchdowns.
I'm really trying to pay attention to the touchdowns because that 2 touchdowns and being that high up is.
I know who it is.
It's a running back.
No. Steelers receiver. Pickens.
Yep.
George Pickens.
2 touchdowns because he has no quarterbacks throwing him the football.
I was about to say, I mean, if you put field goals in there, they're killing it there.
So you guys still have you guys still have 6th, 8th, and 10th. I think are the ones you guys haven't said.
6, 8, and 10.
T. Higgins.
No.
Or
not even top 25.
One of these a tight end.
Yes.
Rookie Bowers, right?
Bowers.
Which one?
Brock Bowers. He's got to be 10th.
Yep, 706. He's the only tight end. The next closest tight end is George Kittle with 560.
Wow.
He's had a
Bowers is playing lights out.
So you
It's
guys
been a down year for tight ends.
All right, I'll give you guys a hint. So the two left are 6 with 722 and 8 with 711. Now the one with 711, he actually has a teammate that's in the top 10 as well. There's one team that has 2 top 10 wide receivers.
I'm pretty sure he lit our ass up. And I'm pretty sure you're happy both these guys are on here. Am I getting there?
You might be. Who
is
he?
A new addition to the Falcons here?
Yep, a off-season acquisition.
I'm gonna go with Darnell Mooney.
That's crazy, guys. 7-11 versus 7-10.
I did not expect him to be higher up on the list.
I didn't know. I would expect Drake London to be top 10. I was kind of surprised when I saw he was top 10 as well. So now there's only one left, number 6. Surprised you guys haven't said him yet. He's really good.
Which one? 722
with 5 touchdowns.
722, 5 touchdowns.
You guys can ask questions if you want. I can give some hints.
What college did he come out of?
Ohio State.
It's not Olave. It's not Scary Terry where he named him. Greg Wilson.
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson. Yeah.
Garrett Wilson.
Yep, there you go. 722, 5
Really?
touchdowns. I know it's hard to forget because his quarterback is Aaron Rodgers, and he's just an absolute joke. But yeah,
I got Devontae Adams over there, and that's what's still.
And they still ain't doing anything.
No, they're trash.
Bunch of bums. Yep.
Absolutely. All right, is that all 3 of them?
Yes.
Awesome.
But before we get in the last segment, got to go through our picks from last week. I know you don't want to.
I was sick. Remember?
Oh, you were sick. Is that what it is? Oh, okay. Gotcha. So me and David both went 4-1. He had a good week. And Tyler went 2-3. So not great. Record wise, man, I'm leaving you guys in the dust right now. I don't know what you guys have been doing lately, but Tyler's 17-10, David 18-9. I'm 21-6, man. You guys.
Hey, I'm coming for you, buddy. I'm coming for you.
Oh, I bet you are. Yeah.
All right, guys. On to the last segment here, segment 5, our top 5 game predictions. Let's see. We are starting out here with Cowboys versus Commanders. I think we're all going to kind of agree with this one. I'll go ahead and start us off here. I think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be close. I'm going to go ahead and go Commanders 34, Cowboys 17.
I'll go 31-13 Cowboys. We can move on.
Man, you guys are being too generous. I'm going
31-13 Commanders. Yeah, it's going to be a blowout.
No, he said Cowboys. We're going to go ahead and fill that in there.
Well, I forgot to friggin' make the table for this week. So yeah, I'm going Commanders as well. Give me like 34-6. It's not even. I'll be surprised they score a touchdown, man.
Yeah,
it's gonna be bad.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Moving on to the next game, we have San Francisco 49ers going up against the Green Bay Packers. Solid game. 49ers lost again, man, to the Seahawks. Geno Smith with the clutch rushing touchdown, falling to 5-5. Packers 7-3 in this one. A big game for both teams. David, let's start with you on this one.
You know, you said the Niners lost again. I think they're going to go ahead and find their groove back again this week. I've said it time and time again, Geno's going to be clutch, and then he's going to be a bum. I think he's going to be a bum this week. I think the Niners are going to pull it out. I do think it'll be a close game. Is it Packers or is it?
Yeah, it's Packers. He was talking about last week.
Okay, I got a little confused there. Sorry about that. I still think the Niners are going to pull it out here against the Packers. It's going to be a close game. I think, Love he's been good, but he kind of gives the ball up a little bit too much there.
Yep.
I'm going to go Niners 27, Packers 24. Sorry about the confusion there.
You're good, man.
All right, so this one was tough. I mean, both teams should be playing better than they are. The 49ers are just really inconsistent. They're really banged up on the defense especially, and they've got even some questionables, big questionables on the offense with Kittle and even Purdy's game time decision. So for just the lack of injuries and practice time, I'm going to take the Packers in a 31-24 shootout.
Okay.
Tough game. I mean, Lambeau is always a tough place to play. Packers are a good team, but like you said, David, I think Jordan Love's been a bit mistake prone this season. Defensive, I'm looking at the points per game for both teams are pretty much even. San Fran 222, Green Bay 213. Again, I think first of all, main thing for me is Brock Purdy's questionable. Same with Nick Bosa. So you want to see how those guys are doing. George Kittle as well. They have some big names that kind of have those injury delegations. I really hope George Kittle plays because he's been playing with me in fantasy the past few weeks, man. It's been painful. But I just think, it is a tough game. I mean, this is basically a must-win for San Fran. Fall to 5-6. It's not going to be easy to make the playoffs with how the NFC is kind of shaping up. I think they'll come out ready. I think it will be a close game. But overall, I think San Fran is still a better team. They've just been kind of underachieving. I think it'll be a fairly low scoring, not like a 14-10 type of game, but maybe like low 20s for both teams. Give me 24-20 San Fran.
Awesome.
All right, on to the next game. That's going to take us to the Eagles, who have improved to 8-2 against the Rams, who are 5-5. This is in LA. Go ahead, kick us off, Noah. What you got?
Oh, man. Again, the Rams are a team. I think they're way better than their record shows, but they just keep losing games that I feel like they shouldn't. And then on the other side, the Eagles, I mean, we already mentioned the Eagles are hot lately, man. Winning 6 straight games. I mean, it is in LA, but I mean, let's be honest, that's not a home field advantage that you're going to write home about by any means. I think the Eagles have a better defense as well. It's 60 less points allowed on the season. Stafford, few too many interceptions, I think, in the past couple of weeks as well. Eagles had the better running game. Wide receiver wise, I think you can make a case for either. I think with Puka back and Cooper Kupp, I think they're really solid. But on the other side, you got Brown, Devontae Smith, and Goddard, and obviously Barkley factors in that as well. So overall, I think it's a big game for the Rams, but I just think the Eagles are too good. Give me the Eagles, man, 27-17 in this.
I mean, you said it all, Noah. I agree with you on your prediction there as well. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I'm kind of pulling for the Rams, so they're not going to be playing in desperation mode against us the next week. But we'll see. I feel like the Eagles are just hot right now. That run game just can't be stopped. The RPO can't be stopped. And like you said, the defense is just nasty. The Rams, man, it's crazy. They can – one week they look like they can beat anybody, and then the next week they just shoot themselves in the foot. I'm going to go with Eagles. Like I said, I agree with you on your prediction there. I'm going to go Eagles 31, Rams 28. I think it'll be a pretty high-scoring game, pretty close, but I think the Eagles are going to be too much for them.
Yeah, I mean, y'all pretty much said it. The Eagles have picked up at the right time. It looked good. That offensive line is just blocking like nobody else, and I didn't expect that after them losing their longtime center. I saw a stat the other day, and I can't exactly remember. Maybe one of y'all got it pulled up. How many rushing touchdowns Saquon Barkley has? But there have been 9 rushing touchdowns that he fell down at the 1-yard line, and then they gave it to. So this dude really should have at least 7 more touchdowns than what he actually has. The dude is just a monster, and I mean everybody believes in him. And it's hard. This is hard to say coming from like a division, but I'm glad to see that he got out of New York, because I'm tired of seeing great talent waste their career in shitty organizations. That being said, I'm going to take the Eagles 24-14. I think the Rams have a lot to fight for, but I just haven't seen that factor that they've had over the last few years.
Absolutely. On to the next game. This might be I feel like this one might be a little controversial for us. We'll see. It's got the defense versus the offense here. Tyler, why don't you go and start us off here? Ravens versus Chargers. What you got?
Man, both these teams are great. This is going to be, I think, the game of the week. I'm going to go ahead and piss some people off again and pick the Ravens over the Chargers. I played defense my whole life, so I'm going to go with the defense. Giving up the points this time, though, on a flip. And Baltimore has just historically been known as a great defense. I think they're going to step up. And I just can't go against the King. That man is a monster. And I already had to watch my team go against him and not pick him up in free agency. You won't see me betting against him. Baltimore 24-21.
I think it comes down to the matchup between the Ravens offense and the Chargers defense. But on the other side, guys, the reason I'm leaning towards my pick in this game and why I'm going with the Chargers in this one. If the Ravens had like a good defense, I could definitely agree with the Ravens pick, but the Ravens have given up 271 points this season. They've had games they've given up 38 to the Bengals, 34 again. They gave up 23 to the Commanders, 31 to the Bucks, 29 to the Browns a few weeks ago. They've had some games they've given up points, guys. And by the way, we just saw what happened when the Ravens played a good team with a good defense, and the Steelers, they did absolutely nothing on offense. So Chargers, in my opinion, I have more faith in the Chargers offense against the Ravens defense than the opposite. I think the Chargers can put up 24 or something, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Ravens are going to run over the Chargers like they have most of the teams this season. So give me the Chargers to win this game, 24-21.
Awesome. I'm surprised neither one of you guys mentioned brother versus brother at head coaches here in this game.
That's true. I didn't think of that.
This is this is an exciting that's like the most exciting factor for me. Man, I feel like this is it's going to be a fun game. I feel like it's going to be down to the wire. I'm going to agree with I feel like the defense matters here. I feel like Ravens have given up too many points too many times this year, and the Chargers have just been, really keeping games low scoring and just being able to do what they want. I feel like the Ravens have more weapons on offense, but I feel like the Chargers defense will be able to slow them down enough. So I'm going to go Chargers 27, Ravens 24 here.
All right, guys, moving on to our fifth and final game and final topic of the night. We have the Cardinals versus Seahawks. Now, when I saw this one on the list, I was like, man, talk about an even matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm looking at their offense and defensive rankings, their records. They're only one game apart. The spread is -1 for Arizona. I mean, definition of a coin flip game in this one. Ty, let's start with you on this one. Which avian team are you picking to win this game?
Man, they both just are inconsistent. And I'm going to just go ahead and coin flip it. I'll go with Kyler Murray and Trey McBride over there and go 27-24 Arizona. I think Geno has another bounce back interception game since he had to win one last week. So he'll choke this one.
Yeah, this one was a tough one for me too. I feel like it's going to be pretty low scoring. I'm actually going to go against you here, Tyler. I'm going to say Seahawks. But like you said, both teams have been very inconsistent. I feel like the Cardinals might be a little more inconsistent, which that's hard to say with how the Seahawks have been. But I'm going to pull Seahawks here. Close game. I'm going to say 24-21.
Man, I was kind of hoping you both picked the Cardinals just so I could pick them as well, so I don't have to worry about losing any ground to either of you guys on this game. But, oh, man. I mean, it is, 12th man and all that. That's a tough place to play for sure. But for me, I'm going with the Cardinals just because in the quarterback matchup, I have much more faith in what I've seen from Kyler this season. I have Geno.
Yes.
Geno's still, up there leading the league, or at least very close. I haven't looked at the stats, but he's definitely still top 3 in interceptions. Whereas Kyler's been very efficient, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Obviously, he has the dual threat ability as well. Skills, I'd say, are pretty even. Defenses, I also say, are pretty even. I just think it's a straight game where the quarterbacks are going to make the difference, and I give Kyler Murray the edge in that one. So give me the it'll be a close game. I think that -1 spread is pretty fair. I definitely think it's going to be a field goal type of game. But give me the Cardinals 27-23.
Fair enough.
You pretty much picked the same score and everything.
Pretty much. So we'll see. The games to keep an eye on this week: 49ers, Packers, and Ravens, Chargers. Those are the ones we had some differentiation on. But man, you guys need to catch up. I'm leaving you guys in the dust, man.
I purposely picked some that y'all both didn't pick up for the exact reason. I think I'm the only one that picked the Niners this week, and I think I'm the only one that picked Baltimore.
Yep, you were. Hey, if
So,
it works, it
we'll
works.
see.
If it doesn't work, you're gonna be in the rearview mirror.
I'm
Man.
gonna be real bad. Yeah. So
Oh
we'll see.
man. But yeah, that was our last topic for the night. Good show once again, guys. Anything you guys kind of want to say before we wrap it up tonight?
Man, I want to just bring up a couple of fights over the weekend. The Mike Tyson and Jake Paul Netflix break-in fight. It sucked. It was just
so
awful. Mike Tyson didn't need to be in there. I've seen the videos where it shows that he was pulling his punches, things like that. But man, Jake Paul was faster. He's obviously younger. He could have put Tyson out, man. I don't care what anybody says. He carried the fight just to entertain the fans. And man, it was just kind of sad for me, honestly, being such a huge Tyson fan. It was just it was very, it wasn't entertaining to me at all. I didn't enjoy it. It just didn't, it didn't change the legacy, obviously, of Tyson. He's fucking 60 years old, but he definitely shouldn't have been in there, not with someone half his age that, has been doing this for a little while. Go ahead.
I had my doubts about this fight from the beginning, but you want to know when I really knew that Mike Tyson lost this fight?
What's that?
When he turned around and panned his ass to all of the buffering of Netflix, and my fucking TV froze on his ass. The fact that I had to look at his ass for like 10 minutes, guys. He wasn't in shape, guys. He wasn't pulling punches. That's an old man's ass.
Yeah.
He got wore down. And I honestly gained more respect for Paul for not knocking him the fuck out, because he definitely could have. It was sad. And then also, before we move on, you talk about the other fight. There is a Netflix football game on Thanksgiving.
Really?
Let's hope that they can get their servers figured out for that live game.
Yeah, no shit. That was pretty awful. Do you have anything to say on that fight there, Noah?
Well, I think the main event was boring. I think it kind of went how I expected. I felt like if Mike Tyson didn't knock him out in the first 2 rounds, he was going to lose, just because the stamina would come into factor. And you guys already mentioned he wasn't aggressive at all. I mean, he was biting his gloves every 2 seconds. It felt like
that was so weird.
Yeah, instead of at least trying to do something. I mean, I will give him some respect. This is a 58-year-old man, and he did at least go the distance. I know Paul wasn't really. You could tell by like round 5 he was taking it easy, which I do actually respect, even though I hate the guy.
It turned into a sparring match at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. So I mean, I think Tyson's defense was all right, but other than that, it was complete boring. But I do want to mention the real main event of the night before this fight. I'm glad I actually caught this. Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor.
Yes.
That fight was just absolutely nuts. Especially what was it? Was it round 6 or round 8 where they had like 170 strikes between them in 2 minutes?
Round 6. It was round 6, and then it busted her eye open, and she fought the rest of the fight with it. And then, in my opinion, got screwed over on.
She got robbed. No. The fact those judges said that Katie Taylor won 6 rounds.
That's crazy. Like,
nuts.
That she had her eye hanging. Her eyelid was hanging over her eye. She could see out of one eye and hung in there and fought. And in my opinion, was whooping this girl's ass there towards the end.
Oh
yeah.
I think she got robbed.
But what a fight, man. I definitely think that made up for the horrible main event a little bit.
Oh yeah. That was the main event.
Big kudos to them. Big kudos to them for putting on a hell of a fight for the fans.
One last thing I want to say, I forgot to say. Jake Paul, congratulations on beating 58-year-old Mike Tyson. I seriously hope these rumors I've seen popping up about you won't. I've actually seen Ryan Garcia.
Oh, really? Well,
those better not be true, because this is not a 50-year-old boxer. This is a 26-year-old who's a beast.
Well, we've seen what happens when he fights someone his age that's a legitimate current boxer.
He would get decapitated against either of those guys, man. Don't do it, man. I can't stand your guts, but you don't want to
go back to YouTube, and your boxing is done. You got your bag. You just go back to YouTube, man.
He'll just keep calling out retired UFC fighters. No big deal. But speaking of UFC, UFC 309, man, what an awesome card. The third fight before the main event there, Bo Nickel came out. Kind of had a rough fight, but he's a great wrestler. He's 7-0 now, won by decision here. Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler, man. That was a war. That was a fucking awesome fight to see. That was probably fight of the night, in my opinion. Chandler was landing some really tough strikes, but Oliveira, man, he's tough. He's sneaky, and he's a submission freak. And he pulled out the W. I'm glad he got it this time. But the main event, man, John Jones, if you didn't think this man was the greatest of all time in the UFC before, there's no denying it now. The way he just manhandled Stipe, the way he tossed his ass on the ground like he was a bag of potatoes, it was insane. And then that spinning kick to the oblique section there, God, that was just nasty. That was nasty. What a beautiful performance from him. There's some controversial talk about him fighting Tom Aspinall or Alex Pereira. I like either one. I mean, people are kind of overlooking at the Alex fight, but look at him, man. He's dominating the UFC right now. There's John Jones, and then there's him. And who wouldn't want to see that fight? I know there's a huge size difference, and the style for John Jones being one of the greater wrestlers, I get that part of it. But at the end of the day, a fight's a fucking fight, man. And anything can happen. And both these guys have ran through everybody they fought. I would love to see it personally. So, you guys have anything to say on that there?
I mean, that'd be an amazing fight to see. Other than that, I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head with all that.
Yeah, pretty much. So, glad my team is on a bye week again, so don't have to suffer next week. But yeah, good show, guys. Definitely interested in this new time slot. We'll see how it goes in the coming weeks. But from myself, Noah Dog Diber, my co-host and buddies, David Dunphy and Tyler Rowe, this has been another episode of SportLife Uncensored show here in the Sports Box. Stay safe, enjoy your football, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Peace.
Happy holidays.